Here's more wrestling news for May 12th, 2022, and your headlines for this afternoon include hearings scheduled to determine if Tammy Lynn Sytch will return to jail, Chris Jericho set to try out interesting new nickname, Dark Side of the Ring reacts to MJF'S Wardlow spoof on AEW Dynamite, WWE says Charlotte Flair will be out of action indefinitely, WWE personality helped Roman Reigns in choosing his in-ring name, new data shows Triple H is the most hated WWE superstar, released WWE superstar claims Drake wants to work with them, Kenny Omega drags mixed tag team match rule, WWE report reveals update on Upupdowndown and returning talent, insight into the internet's most liked and most hated WWE stars, Randy Orton's first RKO victim reflects 19 years later. Have you seen their logo lately? Eric Bischoff pokes fun at a WWE Legends faction for copying NWO in AEW, and more. We're starting with the Tammy Sytch case, as it was last Friday that she was arrested and charged with 9 felonies related to a 3-vehicle car accident from March, but she was released from jail the next day. Sytch's $275,000 bond was posted on the Saturday, but she could soon be back behind bars, according to PW Insider. They have learned that Florida State Attorney R.J. Larrizza filed a motion this week ordering for Sytch to face pretrial detention. This would mean that she would have to spend the next few months behind bars, which Larrizza believes is for the safety of the public. The state submits that there is a substantial probability that the defendant committed DUI manslaughter when she killed the victim on March 25, 2022. The state also submits that defendant poses a threat of harm to the community based on criminal history surrounding driving offenses as detailed above. A hearing will determine if Sytch returns to jail on Friday the 13th of May, with an arraignment scheduled for the 31st, and if found guilty, the disgraced WWE Hall of Famer could face the next 30 years of her life in prison. Throughout his 30-plus year career in wrestling, Chris Jericho has come up with plenty of ideas, most recently the Jericho Appreciation Society in AEW, and now the former world champion is working on something new. In trademark filings, Jericho made a claim to the term The Watch and used famed gimmick attorney Michael Dawkins, who has worked with countless wrestlers in the past. Jericho has also recently filed trademarks for GFY and The Wizard, all to do with pro wrestling, and time will tell what The Watch is used for now that Jericho owns the term. On this week's AEW Dynamite, fans saw MJF and Wardlow sign a contract for their upcoming match, and things got started in a very unusual way. Before the contract signing itself, a voiceover from Chris Jericho recapped the MJF CM Punk dog collar match, and when the likes of Taz and Jake Roberts were shown in interviews, it became clear that this was a Dark Side of the Ring parody. Even Barry Horowitz, who is billed as legendary Jewish wrestler, was interviewed, pointing out that Wardlow cost MJF a match against Shawn Dean, and it wasn't long after that Dark Side of the Ring was trending online. Responding to MJF's spoof, the actual Dark Side of the Ring saw the funny side of things, saying that it was the first look at the show's 4th season. With dropping viewership and several names saying they won't return, a 4th season of Vice's documentary series seems unlikely, but MJF was able to give the fans one last taste of Dark Side of the Ring with this week's parody. At WrestleMania Backlash, Charlotte Flair lost the SmackDown Women's Championship to Ronda Rousey, and after the match, WWE released a report stating that Flair had suffered a fracture of the radius. It is believed that this is a kayfabe injury, but WWE is doing all they can to make it seem real, even giving an update on her diagnosis. During the bump, it was announced that Charlotte will be out indefinitely and that there is no planned timeline for her return. With Charlotte planning to marry Andrade this summer, it's believed that this injury is giving her time off to tie the knot, so don't expect any appearances by the Queen anytime soon. It's safe to say that Roman Reigns is WWE's biggest star of the modern day, but the Tribal Chief's rise to the top wasn't done on his own. Over the years, several names have worked to make Reigns the star he is today, and one person with a little-known part in his life is Corey Graves. Sitting down with Wrestle Talk, the WWE commentator discussed the undisputed WWE Universal Champion and explained how he helped him with Roman's name. I won't say I named Roman Reigns, but I did suggest that he spells his last name the way he does. He's actually acknowledged it a few times, which I thought was really cool. That's my little contribution to the head of the table. For years, WWE failed to make Roman Reigns work, as fans rejected him being pushed as the greatest thing in wrestling, an opinion that now comes naturally to fans given his incredible heel turn. Graves always knew that Reigns would rise to the top if given the chance to be his true self, as he told Busted Open Radio, "This is Roman Reigns. This is the guy that we've all known and loved or despised for years. Roman believes this stuff that he says. I genuinely enjoy the hell out of it because I have the utmost respect for the entire Anoa'i family. To see that kind of play out on screen and for the whole world to get to know that legacy is legitimate, it's great knowing it's not some storyline that was drawn up in a writer's room." Today marks day 620 of Roman's incredible tenure as Universal Champion, and after the past year, 8 months, 1 week, and 4 days, there's still no signs of him losing the title anytime soon. Yesterday, we reported on Lacey Evans, who only returned to WWE recently following weeks of promo packages. Evans returned to SmackDown as a babyface, dropping her sassy Southern Belle character, but it's since been reported that WWE plan on re-debuting her on Raw and bringing her to the Red brand as a heel. This has been reported by various sources, and now we have a better idea as to what WWE is planning. According to reports, WWE's current plan is for Evans to return to the Red brand and be jobbed out to Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss, who WWE consider the #1 and 2 women on Raw. When Lacey expressed her displeasure at this booking, given that she's just been brought back as a face on SmackDown, Bruce Pritchard told her it was a creative direction from Vince McMahon himself. Evans asked to speak with McMahon but was refused, but Pritchard did pass on Evans' feelings to the chairman, resulting in an unpleasant confrontation between the two. It's reported that those working in the area could clearly hear what McMahon and Pritchard had to say, but that neither man came to an agreement over what should be done. Before her pregnancy, WWE had big plans for Evans, who was set to dethrone then Raw Women's Champion Asuka, but it seems the company has done a 180 on her. It's bizarre for WWE to invest time in positioning Evans as a face, with lengthy segments to her life being aired, just to revert her back to being a heel, but it seems changing direction at the drop of the hat is WWE's MO. While Evans' work in the Marines and as a mother is very noble, and she took a big leap in revealing her true self to the fans, it was all just a waste of time, and expect her to be back as her sassy heel persona, racking up a ton of losses on Monday Night Raw. Thanks to social media, wrestling fans are able to make their opinions heard every second of every day, and if you've ever been on Twitter, you'll know that this is exactly what happens. WWE superstars receive a ton of feedback, both good and bad, every single week, and now some interesting data has come forth. When Bookmarkers.com researched the feedback WWE superstars received, splitting it into positive, neutral, and negative responses, they found that Raw's Nikki A.S.H. is the most beloved. Despite being a heel and recently teasing an alliance with Doudrop, 28.4% of the posts about her were positive, with only 2.85% being negative. Interestingly, Veer Mahan came second, likely due to fans loving the online memes about him, while Alexa Bliss took third place. On the other side of things, Triple H received the most negative feedback online, with 18.4% of references to him in the data seemed negative. NXT UK's A-Kid is the second most hated, scoring 17.90% negative feedback, while Bruce Pritchard, often considered to be a Vince McMahon yes man, took third with a score of 15.6%. Of course, this doesn't mean a fan can't like the game or roll their eyes when Veer Mahan is on screen, but these are some interesting views from wrestling fans as a whole. Last month, Parker Boudreaux was released from WWE, bringing his short term with the company to an end. Boudreaux, aka Harland, had a ton of buzz around him before he even signed with WWE, and he may have already found his next big role. On Twitter, Parker shared a screenshot of his DMs with Angelo Jello Ferraro, a member of the entourage of Canadian rapper Drake. In the messages, Ferraro says that he, presumably Drake, wants to meet Boudreaux and needs him for a show. The former NXT 2.0 superstar would quickly delete the tweet, but not before fans had the chance to screenshot it, and mere days after being released, Harland may have found a huge new gig. When it comes to WWE, the promotion has taken a hard stance against intergender wrestling, partly due to not wanting to upset their sponsors and networks. While WWE does on very rare occasion allow men to wrestle women, almost all matches featuring men and women will be a mixed tag match, with the men facing men and women facing women. This week, AEW's Kenny Omega took a shot at this rule, as on Twitter, he responded to a tweet that highlighted his match from Chris Jericho's 2020 Cruise, where he teamed with Riho to face Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. Calling it the best mixed match in AEW history by far, Omega said that it was an actual match, and said that WWE's must-tag-out rules suck real bad. WWE's rule may suck, at least according to the cleaner, but it's unlikely to change anytime soon, as the last thing Vince McMahon needs is bad PR from what would be seen as male-on-female violence. More release news, as last year WWE parted ways with Tyler Breeze, releasing the former superstar after over a decade with the company. Breeze had been with WWE back when FCW was the company's developmental program, but could be back, though not in a wrestling capacity. According to Fightful Select, WWE is considering bringing Breeze back to work exclusively for the Upupdowndown YouTube channel, which returned last week after a lengthy hiatus. Breeze was arguably the channel's second biggest character and contributor behind Xavier Woods, and with him not wrestling or signing elsewhere since his release, this could be a sign of his imminent return. The report also noted that while Breeze may be back with the channel, many regulars of the show won't be, given that Samoa Joe, Cesaro, Mia Yim, and Dakota Kai have all left WWE. Details are still scarce for the updated Upupdowndown, as it had been reported that Woods received very little for the effort he put in before the hiatus, and time will tell if Prince Pretty returns to the channel. Hook has become one of the highlights of AEW television in recent times. On the other hand, CM Punk has become one of the best things about AEW since he debuted in the company last year. CM Punk was treated as a heel by Long Island fans in the UBS Arena on Wednesday night, so AEW decided to send the crowd home happy by having him get choked out by Hook. Following the AEW Rampage tapings, Punk was forced back into the ring by Danhausen and wound up backing right into the cold-hearted Handsome Devil. He tried to back off by offering him a handshake, but the young man initially accepted, only to nail Punk with an exploder suplex and lock on his Red Rum submission, much to the delight of fans. Punk played up the fact that he wasn't liked by MJF's hometown during Dynamite by beating another Long Island native in John Silver. He then stood face-to-face with Hangman Page and promised that, one way or another, by the end of Double or Nothing, they would shake hands. One superstar WWE definitely won't be releasing is Randy Orton, who recently celebrated 20 years on WWE TV, a legendary career that has seen countless stars fall to the RKO. Of course, there can only be one first victim, and that person is Tank Toland, who worked with WWE as an OVW developmental wrestler and took the first RKO by Orton in June 2003. Speaking on Rene Dupree's podcast, Toland said that Orton asked if he was okay with taking the move, saying that it was essentially DDP's Diamond Cutter, and Toland said that he was fine with it, as DDP had left the company by that point. Orton hit the first RKO on Toland during the match, and hit the second after the match on him, as the Tank does have a unique part of wrestling history to his name. And we're ending today with Eric Bischoff, and for all his detractors, it's impossible to ignore Eazy-E's influence on wrestling. It was Bischoff who convinced Hulk Hogan to turn heel in 1996, ushering in the New World Order and the concept of cool heels, and the effects are still being felt today. In fact, Bischoff believes that the effect of the NWO are being felt too much in AEW, as on a recent episode of 83 Weeks, he claimed that the All Elite promotion, and one group in particular, are borrowing heavily from the iconic faction's logo. What they want is that version of the next level excitement. That's what they want. That's why you see people forming factions that are in one way, shape, or form, some in more ways than others, copying the NWO. Take the Bullet Club. Is that not a direct, obvious derivative of the NWO when you have everybody running around and throwing the Too Sweet sign up? Come on. When you look at the Blackpool Combat Club, have you seen their logo lately? Come on. To say the NWO changed wrestling is something of an understatement, and whether the BCC are copying the iconic logo or not, countless factions of cool heels, from DX to Aces and Eights to the Elite, have the New World Order to thank. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.